Today I'm here to talk about my pick for a innovative software that can be used for education called Kahoot. I picked Kahoot after I did some exploring and found that it has a real nice user interface as well as the ability to make lessons as games. I'm a big fan of gamification for education. I think it's a good way to capture students' interest and keep them engaged in their learning. For respiratory therapists in particular, at the end of our education, before we can begin our professional practice, we have to pass a series of examinations. A multiple choice examination, where the score determines whether you'll be able to move on to the second part of the examination, whether you failed, or the third option of becoming a certified respiratory therapist, which will allow you to enter into practice without becoming an advanced practitioner. Most employers now require a registry rather than a certification, so most students will have to pass the exam with a higher score in order to take the second half. The second part of the exam is a clinical simulation exam, where students are asked to assess patients, select tests, understand results, help physicians understand diagnosis, and recommend treatment plans. Gamification allows respiratory therapy students to have a fun way of understanding how the clinical simulation and multiple choice tests will be operated. At the same way, they can compare scores and have fun and engage with each other and with the instructor. I already created an account for Kahoot, and this is what the login screen for teachers would look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. It first brings me to my home page where I can see Kahoots that I've worked on. I can look what other teachers are doing, as well as play some demonstration games. At the top, Discover allows me to look at other games that teachers from around the world have created. If we look back at Kahoots, we can see any Kahoots that I've created and published. I haven't published any, but I've created one. If we go to reports, this is where we would see Kahoots that I've published for my students and see their scores and how they stack up to one another. So we're going to go back to the home page. So we're going to go into the first Kahoot that I've created. And this is called Get to Know Your Teacher. And if I click play, we can play it as the teacher or as the student. So we'll play it as player versus player in classic mode. Here I've created another player who can do the assessment as we go. If I click start, it'll bring us right in. It's loading. Here we go. First question obviously is, what is your teacher's name? Pretty easy. We're going to select the student got it correct. If we click next, we'll go on to the next question. This one's just a sample of what your teacher teaches. And the student was able to get it correct. As you can see, Kahoot makes a fun, easy way to score points for students so they can compete with one another and with their own selves if they have the ability to retake assessments. It's a fun way for this lesson just to get your know your teacher. We can also create new Kahoots by using the create button. Here I have the option of creating my own new Kahoot or using a template made by the company itself. If we go to template inspired by Higher Educator, I can insert pictures, change the question, or change the answers just by selecting it. This way you can customize the lesson for your particular classroom and for your students. And when you are ready, you would move on to the second question, and the third question, and as many questions as you wanted. When you're finished, you just hit the done button, and you can test it, play it now, share it with others, or you can just click done. Now we're back at the My Kahoot screen, which shows us both the templates that I've made. In conclusion, Kahoot is a good way to gamify lessons, to keep your students engaged, and to use educational technology. In the future, I could see using this for preparing students for examinations, for allowing online students to get to know each other better and their instructors, and as a way to review topics in a fun way that might ordinarily be boring or less engaging for the students.